Welcome to Around the Horn, Foreign Policy Edition, presented by Scott's Turf Builder Plus. Feed your lawn. Feed it on ESPN. We will be discussing the important topic of military policy in the United States. Let's welcome our guests for today. First, we have Captain Michael Milik of the U.S. Army. We have Bobby Lovich, a White House correspondent for the Orange. Finally, we have Congressman Andy Smiley.
Hi, thanks for having us on the show.
Certainly. Let's jump right into it. But first, let's take a minute to mention our sponsors, McDonald's McRib, back for a limited time only. Our first topic is to address the background leading up to our current foreign policy. What do you think is the most important issue that shaped our policy?
The most important events or series of events that led to our current foreign policy, I believe, is the Cold War. During the Cold War, the U.S. and the Soviet Union built up their nuclear arsenals a lot, which I believe really contributed to our present-day foreign policy.
The biggest issue that has shaped our foreign policy has definitely been everything that's been going on in the Middle East. You know, we've had oil problems, we've had terrorist problems, we've had groups, like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, the Taliban, Osama bin Laden, everything that he's done. Ever since 9/11, the terrorist attacks, we've really had to secure our borders, make sure everything is safe. So the most important issue that has shaped our foreign policy has definitely been terrorism in the Middle East.
While these two make good points, after World War II, U.S. foreign policy was majorly geared toward fighting the spread of communism and spreading democracy instead. The wars in Korea and Vietnam show this incredibly, and this has rippled very much into our current policy towards other nations.
Okay, next we have Buy or Sell, brought to you by Obamacare. Ready or not, here it comes. Woody Woodward of the Boston Post recently wrote a column saying that members of the cabinet are the most important players in the U.S. foreign policy. Let's start with Andy. Are you buying or selling?
Well, I'm going to sell. That's just blatantly wrong. We have the president, who is the final decision maker on these issues, and he's very important, and the most important, for several reasons. The cabinet exists and works for the president. So when they serve the president, it's a little ridiculous to say that they are more important than him in these military and policy issues.
I completely disagree with you, Andy. I'm buying this one. The president has so many things to worry about other than foreign policy, but the cabinet can focus exclusively on foreign policy. You got the Secretary of Defense, the Secretary of Homeland Security, and the Secretary of State. They all focus on just their fields, and they can spend more time influencing the U.S. foreign policy. Furthermore,
Sorry, Mike, you're out of time.
I'm going to sell this one as well. The cabinet is important, but I would say it's not the most important player. There are plenty of other important players, such as the media. Because of the rise of social media, the media plays an important role in influencing how people think about foreign politics. In addition, we have interest groups, which have gained a lot of prominence due to the increased role of money in politics today. So, really, when you think about all these other factors, it's difficult to say that the cabinet is the most important player.
Alright, we come to the first cut, brought to you by Supercuts. Rock the cut. Let's take a look at the points. Andy, you have 5 points. Bobby, you have 8, which puts you in first place. Which means, Mike, with only 3 points, you are the lowest scorer so far. Any last words before you were cut?
well, thanks for having me on the show. I may have lost this round, but you know who's not going to lose? Ted Cruz 2016. Vote for him, baby.
Okay, so now we can move on to the final round, the showdown, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. For today's final topic, what is the biggest current issue surrounding U.S. foreign and military policy? Andy, you're up first.
Well, it's very clear here that the biggest current issue we have is terrorism and terrorist organizations such as Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the Taliban. Our current policy is to try to avoid deploying troops on the ground, but rather to stop ISIS through the use of airstrikes and drones. We must continue to tackle ISIS head-on.
While I agree that terrorism is a major issue, the most pressing issue we have currently is, without a doubt, illegal immigration. Our country currently has 11 million illegal immigrants living here without documentation, and it's a big problem. One thing that the government has done to deal with this recently has been implementing the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals Act. which grants students an extended legal stay so that they can have more time to file the papers needed to apply for legal residency.
Well, gentlemen, you both made some interesting arguments, and it's time to declare a winner. Presented by Fisher Price. Play, laugh, grow. With a total of 6 points, congratulations, Andy. It looks like you are the winner for today. Bobby, any last words?
Well, it's been a pleasure being on the show. I want to thank you for having me. Before I go, I just want to give a quick shout out to my man, Joe Biden. Keep doing what you're doing, dog. And Hillary 2016. Let's go, Hillary.
Well, I'd just like to thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great experience. I'm glad to have won. And like my opponents, I'd like to make a slight political endorsement. Please vote Waka Flocka Flame 2016 for the real change we need in America.
Thanks for watching, folks. That's all the time we have for today. We'll be back in 23 and a half hours. Up next is Pardon the Interruption.